Hey everyone, John here. I think I've talked enough about Girl Meets World in general. I think it's time for me to finally talk about the show that started it all. That would be Boy Meets World, of course, from the 1990s. Oh, and by the way, my next review, it's gonna be another episode of Girl Meets World. But this time it's a mediocre one, so it's totally different. Yeah, so this show is definitely a little different than what I usually talk about this channel, since Boy Meets World isn't really a kid's show. It's also not one that's currently airing or recent, like a lot of stuff I review. But I wanted to review a great Christmas episode this Christmas, and hey, why not talk about what you know, right? But with all that out of the way, let's take a look at the Boy Meets World Season 1 episode, Santa's Little Helper. Not to be confused with the Season 6 episode, Santa's Little Helpers. That S at the end is very, very important. So, the first scene in this episode is a pretty funny scene that takes place in Corey's classroom, where his teacher, Mr. Feeney, is trying to start a class discussion about the classic Christmas book, A Christmas Carol. No. That's not A Christmas Carol. Jeez, guys, pay attention. But anyway, Corey doesn't really seem to fully understand the book and the message about the true meaning of Christmas that it, puts out there.
What, in your opinion, was Mr. Dickens trying to express in his Christmas story?
That if you're a real butthead, the neat ghost will take you to cool places.
Yeah, Corey was definitely a really funny character, particularly in the early seasons of the show. The young actor, Ben Savage, at the time, did a really good job of playing a goofy, wisecracking kid. But let's get into the actual plot of the episode. So the next scene takes place in the cafeteria. Corey is kind of shown to be very materialistic in this scene, and he's, showing that he doesn't really seem to totally understand the true meaning of Christmas. This comes into play later. But yeah, for now, it gives us some more funny dialogue, which is always good. This scene also shows that something seems to be going on, with Corey's best friend, Sean Hunter, that is. One thing that we see is that Sean doesn't really appear to have a lot of money. And I'll get into what actually is going on with him in a minute, but just keep in mind, it's not really a spoiler what I'm going to tell, because it's really more what the episode is about. So, the next scene takes place back at Corey's home, and this is where we get our subplot for the episode. You see, Corey's parents, Alan and Amy, have to deal with a problem going on with their daughter and Corey's little sister, Morgan, who is about 6 years old at the time. You see, what happened is that earlier that day, Amy and Morgan were at the mall for Morgan to go sit on Santa's lap and all that. And when she sat down on his lap, he then proceeded to have a heart attack. And don't worry, he made it out okay, he didn't die or anything. But basically, she thinks she killed Santa Claus, even though he didn't actually die. Now that I say it like that, it actually sounds a lot darker than it is. But we don't actually see this happen. They just talk about it. It's explained that he's fine. And, it's mostly kind of played for laughs based on her reaction to it, and it's very funny.
Oh, hi, Pumpkin. I bet you had fun. Did you get your picture taken with Santa Claus?
So a little later, Corey comes home, and this is where we find out what's going on with Sean. You see, Corey's dad, Alan, tells Corey that Sean's dad recently got laid off. He lost his job. So, contrary to what Sean had told him earlier that day in the cafeteria, Sean isn't actually going to be probably getting much for Christmas this year. And, when Corey learns of this, it's a pretty emotional scene. It's well done.
Sean's dad got laid off.
Sean's dad lost his job?
Yeah, I guess he was just too embarrassed to tell you.
I'm his best friend. So that's why his mom's packing his lunch.
And yeah, I don't really want to get into too many more details into the plot beyond that, because I don't really want to spoil it, so I'll just kind of talk about it vaguely from here. So, in the next scene is basically about Corey trying to do something nice for Sean. Basically, he decides to give Sean one of his gifts. And this doesn't exactly go as well as Corey. It doesn't really go as well as Corey planned it to go. Now, I mentioned that the previous scene here was pretty emotional. This scene on here is just kind of whoa, and it's really kind of the highlight of the episode. It's very strong, emotional, and it's kind of it's different than what they've done before on the show, really. In fact, the interesting thing about this episode is that this is actually the first time that the show, did something this serious and, handled a subject matter which was kind of this heavy. And I guess you could say that it's, pretty impressive, how well they were able to pull it off, because it's not always easy to do, especially for a comedy show. And, they pulled it off, well. It felt realistic, effective, and, interesting to watch. So, to sort of wrap up that plot, I don't think I'm really spoiling too much here when I say that, Corey and Sean eventually make up by the end of the episode. And, yeah, I like this scene where they make up because, it's pretty smartly written, it is sweet, and it's also handled in a way that's pretty, subtle, which is always a good thing to say. It's, it's different and refreshing, so why not? The episode then goes on to wrap up Morgan's subplot with Santa in a kind of hilarious scene that I don't want to spoil. It's just really funny. So yeah, this is definitely a really great Christmas episode overall. I'd probably give it an 8.5 out of 10. And I'd definitely recommend that you check it out. If you get the chance to check it out this holiday season, that'd be a good thing to do. Or if not, maybe next holiday season. You can maybe possibly catch like a rerun of it on ABC Family or MTV, maybe DVR it, get on demand. And if not, maybe you could just try to find, another way to watch it. Maybe somewhere on the internet. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But you didn't hear that from me. So that's all I gotta say. Happy holidays, and thanks for watching. Bye.